back at it once again for the final time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last episode of On the Ball right here on UATV. I'm your host, as always, Justin Spears, joined alongside here. Man, who other than my two partners in crime? Both wearing red pants, Danielle Fort, red tie, Fernando Galvan, back at it again in the mix.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for joining, as always.
Always like
ready?
to be here.
You ready for a final show?
I am so ready for this semester to be over.
Plans for the summer?
I have an internship back in Columbus, Ohio, where I'm from, working as a sports intern at the WBNS station there. So
nice.
I'm excited.
What about you, Fernando?
Yeah.
I'm going to be here, man. You know me.
T-Lokes.
Exactly.
You guys will be
T-Lokes.
here.
Hold it down for the
Hold
T-Town,
down
baby.
Tucson
Down for the
till we
T-Town.
get back.
Okay, so we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to keep it very brief today, but at the same time, we're going to have a quality show. We're going to talk NFL drafts. We're going to talk about Pac-12 football and basketball recap, and we're also going to talk about who took the biggest losses this year. Oh, man, I'm excited for that one. But first, we have to talk about NBA playoffs. Miami Heat taking on the Toronto Raptors last night in the 6. Now,
The 666.
views from the 6. Dwayne Wade had 24 points and 6 steals. Hassan Whiteside probably had the most Hassan Whiteside stat line of all time, 9.17 rebounds. Goran Dragic had a game-high 26 points. They win 102-96 in overtime in Game 1. Now, I get Toronto Raptors are the number 2 seed, but I'm telling you what, I think they are not deserving of the 2 seed. And I'm going to tell you why. They bring in DeMarre Carroll in the offseason, a big-time free agent who led the Atlanta Hawks to only – did they get swept? No, they lost it in 5 games to the Cavaliers last year. They made it seem like DeMarre Carroll was this big-time max contract kind of deal. Atlanta wasn't going to go and give him that kind of money. But so they're like, you know what? You go ahead. Toronto, on the other hand, were, okay, we are one piece away from actually making a deep push in the playoffs. Okay, so they bring in DeMarre Carroll, but what does that do to DeMar DeRozan? It pushes him to become a player that's a caliber of getting a max contract in this offseason. Now, Miami Heat, they have Dwayne Wade, they have Justice Winslow, they have Luol Deng. Yep. They have 3 guys capable of guarding DeMar DeRozan, because if they put him on DeMar DeRozan, they take out their top guy.
Right.
If you eliminate DeMar DeRozan, that's the Achilles heel. You eliminate him, Toronto falls.
And Drake on the sideline.
And Drake on the sideline, clapping and
got his own camera on him the whole time.
That's stupid. But I really want this Miami-Toronto Raptors, or I really want this Miami-Cleveland Cavaliers matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it's going to happen. I mean, it's kind of weird because LeBron today said, I've always wanted to have a playoff series with Wade. Which kind of, I mean, I shouldn't really be nitpicking this, but the fact that he said Wade, you played with a man for 4 years.
Yeah.
And you call him Wade? Yeah, exactly. Off the court, they're boys. They're best friends.
Yep.
But I'm not going to say, hear Dwayne Wade say, you know what? I really want to have a playoff series with James. It just sounds weird. But on the other hand, wouldn't this be the most emotional mess and chaotic Eastern Conference Finals if this were to happen?
Oh, yeah, Cleveland would have a freak out. I'm from Ohio, so you should have seen the mess that everyone was in Ohio when he left in the first place. Right. And then, he came back and everyone acted like it never happened. Oh, we love him, he's back. Baloney. And so, now if he was to play against the Heat there, I can imagine what all the fans would be feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only reason why I want to see that is if Chris Bosh can play.
That too.
If Chris Bosh isn't there, then it doesn't really matter because they're going to get beat by the Cavs. The only way it's really competitive is if Chris Bosh is able to play at high level.
And I love Chris Bosh because he's that lengthy guy who can step back and knock down the jumper. Obviously, he's been dealing with some health issues that could cost him his life in the near future, which is so unfortunate to see. Right. But if Chris Bosh were to play and you add that front court presence along with Hassan Whiteside, you have Chris Bosh playing his natural power forward position. Yep. That was one of the reasons why Miami didn't have the success that they wanted to have when they brought in Chris Bosh and LeBron James, was because Chris Bosh isn't a 5. No. He's not a center. No. He's a power forward. So they didn't have their best power forward was Adonis Haslam. Yeah. What's he good for? He's a scrub. Now you have Hassan Whiteside, who will probably get a max contract this upcoming summer. Yeah. Which I'm hoping he goes over to Los Angeles and Laker Town because, oh, man, the Lakers need a center. That would be awesome.
True.
And you add in Chris Bosh to that mix. I love it. And especially just the whole series with LeBron James going back to Miami and that long series. I think it will go to 7 personally. And if
I can see that happening.
And if it's 7 games in Cleveland and they have Dwayne Wade, just, you know what, LeBron, I get it, we're boys, but I need to get back to the finals and show you.
If that happens,
and show you.
That's going to be the worst nightmare for Cleveland.
Yeah,
and
I
LeBron,
would.
because they lose.
Yeah.
I would love to see.
If it goes to 7, Dwayne Wade's beating them.
Because in Dwayne Wade's mind, he's thinking, you know what? I want to prove that I can go to the NBA Finals without you.
Without him, yeah. And I would love to see what he would do, especially after, what was the first game they had against the Hornets when he just pulled those threes out to bring the team back. And they're talking, he hasn't shot a 3 since December. He just pulled them out, and he was like, oh, it's nothing. So I would love to see what he would do on LeBron, because LeBron probably wouldn't even expect it coming.
Dwayne Wade has the killer instinct that LeBron never had.
Yes.
And that's why if it goes to 7, LeBron is in trouble, and they want no part of that in Cleveland.
Yeah. And plus it's almost like whenever you break up with a significant one, you don't want to see them upgrade. And if Dwayne Wade were to go to the NBA Finals, that's an upgrade, and LeBron's going to be that salty ex-girlfriend. Sorry,
Too
LeBron.
true.
But let's transition over into the Western Conference. We can't talk about the Western Conference without talking about the Golden State Warriors. I know it sounds like beating a dead horse, Fernando. But 5 players in double figures last night as they knocked off Portland, same score, 102-96, or excuse me, 94. Now, Golden State has taken a 2-0 lead. And without Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry won't be reevaluated until in a couple of weeks, or this week, actually. Yeah. Does Steph Curry play Game 3?
No.
No, I don't see him doing it.
I'd say he stays out.
There's no need to bring him out there until they play the Spurs if they don't have to. If he gets into a dire situation, then fine, you put him out there to get him back in the groove of things, but until then, there's no need to put him out there on the floor.
Exactly. They've been proving that they can do it without him, and so I don't think there's any reason to bring him back earlier than he should come back. And, I mean, a lot of people stepped up last night, I think. My favorite was Harrison Barnes. Taking that drive on that dunk on the baseline and then giving the stare down. I just think it's cool to see, even though Steph is obviously essential to the team, it's cool to see who steps up when he's out.
And it's essential for this team to be able to do that. They have to know that they can win without him. They have to believe in themselves that they can get the job done without Steph Curry. It can't be the Steph Curry show and everybody else is kind of there. We could put it in bits and pieces here and there. Especially if you're going to get to a 7-game series with the Spurs, you're going to have somebody else give something at some point. And right now they're learning they can do that, and it's important.
Speaking of the San Antonio Spurs, a couple nights ago against the Oklahoma City Thunder, in a late game situation, there was not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 missed calls. 5 missed calls. Is there any consequences for these NBA refs? Because I can't tell who's worse, them or Pac-12 refs.
There's no consequence for them, but I mean, and even if there was, what's it gonna be? Then making them not letting them ref again in the playoffs, and then okay, so now you're bringing somebody else in. Are they gonna be a better quality referee than you had? And I think it was just so much chaos all at once that they didn't know what to do, so they didn't do anything.
Clue.
They got froze.
I've never seen anything like that. And I was listening to them on TV that they talk about it, and they said there's technically not anything in the rule book that says that you can't, push the inbounder because they were going through it, but they said it's clearly an offensive foul, and the fact that nobody saw that, it's just nobody's seen anything like it, you know?
I'm just so confused because even though many said that, Dion Waiters should get the offensive foul.
Right.
Why is Manu so close upon him?
He had his foot on the line.
He's clearly over the line.
Clearly.
Trying. I mean, I get it. He's playing tough defense. It's 13.5 seconds left on the clock. He's trying to play tough defense. I get it. Great job on Manu's part. But if you're breaking rules, stepping over the line, and Dion Waiters can't do anything about it because you're right up in his grill,
right.
Of course he's going to throw you off. Yes, was an offensive foul on Dion Waiters? Yes, but it was Manu's fault for being in that position in the first place.
Being so close.
And on top of that, Manu kind of flopped.
No, he did.
He did.
Manu
He
flopped.
did.
Dion Waiters didn't full force, just throw an elbow at him. He just kind of nudged him off.
Get off
and
of me.
Manu just completely
and
fell
that's
back.
one thing. I think the refs froze because they saw they let go of the call with Manu. So now you're gonna let the call with Waiters go now because you don't want to have it change now, and it continued to snowball from there.
And that wasn't even the first call that they missed because before that, Kawhi Leonard was hanging on the jersey of Russell Westbrook, and on top of that, Danny Green going up for the ball on Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka.
He got
Yeah,
the foul.
that's right.
And then Serge Ibaka grabbing the jersey of LaMarcus Aldridge when he tried to get the putback. And the one call that they did not miss, or they did not mention, was when Steven Adams was trying to block Patty Mills's corner three-pointer.
Yes.
And the fan sitting courtside grabbed Steven Adams' arm, preventing him to try to get the offensive rebound.
It was crazy.
And Steven Adams just threw his arm. If that poor lady hung on to his arm, I'm most confident.
I
she
thought he
would've
was going to
flung
swing
the
on
court.
her.
Yeah, she'd have slid about 4 feet onto the court.
Malice in San Antonio.
There you
Yes.
Oh
go.
man, wouldn't that be awesome?
I think the whole situation could have been avoided in the first place because I don't think I would have chosen Deion Waiters to be the inbounder that late in the game. All he did was he just chucked it up in the air for anybody to even have. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? But personally, as a coach, I wouldn't have even chose him that late in the game in that situation to be the person to take the ball out.
I mean, that's just Oklahoma City in general.
True.
They start Andre Robertson. No business being on the court.
I was just
This
like,
is one of
what
those
are you
situations though
doing?
where you see how fans are never happy because you hear fans all the time saying you don't want to whistle to decide the end of the game. So the referees didn't do that, and now they're mad because the call was made.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just can't win.
You can't win. You can't win in sports. So, okay, we talked about basketball. Now let's go ahead and move on to the NFL draft. Guys, just your thoughts. I mean, I know it's kind of over and done with. Who's your most underrated and on top of that, most overrated pick?
Go ahead.
Underrated, and it sounds silly because he's the fourth pick, but I think it's Ezekiel Elliott. You're seeing so many people complain about the Dallas Cowboys draft, how they didn't get defensive help, they didn't get a corner, they didn't address a lot of the needs that they had, but I think they did it. They addressed the biggest issue, and that was the fact that you needed to get Tony Romo help. When he's not there, they're a completely different team. You saw it. They go from 12-4 to 4-12 without one guy. You get a stabilizing factor in Ezekiel Elliott, and this isn't just a regular running back. He's a game changer. You add that to your staff. You have the triplets all over again. It changes things, and that helps your defense. What people fail to realize is when you have a dominant running game, your defense is seeing less on the field, is giving a little bit more rest time. It does a lot of things for him. I think he's most underrated, even though he's at the 4 pick.
Mine's the same one as Zeke Elliott. That was my most underrated, especially because being from Ohio State, we loved him, and to see him go to such a good program as the Cowboys, and like you said, they need him there. I think it's not only exciting for him, but it should be exciting for the Cowboys to have such good talent on their team because, like you said, they need him.
And not to mention, the Dallas Cowboys are a storied franchise. They have so
Yes.
much history behind them, and whenever you mention Ezekiel Elliott, he is a box office player. He is a
Yes.
player that you want every time you see the Cowboys going. They're going to say, you know what, I want to go see this young guy play. I want to see this young man run the football.
When Cowboys are on offense, you're sitting down watching on TV.
Exactly.
You're sitting there waiting to see what's going to happen because you know something big is going to happen.
Yep.
Exactly. And it was destined. You know, he was the man, the focal point on that Ohio State offense.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's only right that he goes to this Dallas Cowboys offense. Yeah, he won't be the number one option, but also at the same time, he's going to groom into the player. That way, once Des Bryant is on the back end of his career, once Tony Romo is retired, he will be the guy that the Cowboys will lean on for many years to come. So I agree with you on that pick. But I think the most underrated pick of the entire draft was the number 13th pick overall with the Miami Dolphins. Selecting Laramie Tunsil. I mean, he posted a picture with him smoking
video,
out the gas mask bong.
Yeah.
It was
Everybody knew about that.
30 minutes before the draft.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Sure enough, he figures out that his phone's hacked. Some skeletons that he has in his closet, some people that he's dealing with, obviously came up and exposed him in a way. And they also exposed some text messages exchanged between him and coaches giving him money. So
Yep.
somebody had it out for Laramie Tunsil.
He went through it right before the draft for sure.
Yeah.
And if Laramie Tunsil finds out who this guy is, he's got to go and say, you know what, me and you need to meet. We need to go to a restaurant, something. Sit down, hand him a bag of $15,000 or $20,000.
Just go away.
And just say, see ya.
Yep.
Get out of my life. I do not want to see you at all. Because you know what? I feel so bad for this young man because he was an All-American at Ole Miss. He was projected at many points during the season to be the number 1 overall pick to the Tennessee Titans because we all know that the Tennessee Titans need some help
Yes.
protecting Marcus Mariota.
Right. I don't feel bad for him.
You don't feel bad for Laramie?
No. Why did you have a video of that in the first place? again, you just said it. You're an All-American player. Now, is it terrible that it happened? Absolutely. But at the same time, you've got to understand how these things affect your future nowadays. And it's the world we live in. If you have pictures or videos like that anywhere, someone's going to find them, and they're going to end up on the internet where you don't want them to be. It doesn't matter who you are, especially in a high-profile case like that. He was asking for something bad to happen. It's unfortunate that it happened when it did, but that's what happens when you take those risks.
But is it on his cell phone or was it on somebody else's?
Either way, why are you taking videos like that, period?
I don't feel bad for him, like you said, because people need to know what they're getting into in this world with social media. But in the way, I do feel bad for him because anybody in the right mind knows that he's not the only person that's out there doing that. And he just happened to be the unlucky guy who got exposed, at the time he did. And so, you can feel bad for him in a way, but there's also, you can't feel bad for him because it's like he just happened to be the unlucky one.
It's just one of those things where, again, I know if I look through your phone, I'm not finding stuff like that.
No.
Well,
and you're not finding it on mine either. And again, you have to be cognizant of what you're doing, especially when you want to aspire to be somebody like that. If you're asking to be the number one pick in the draft, you cannot have stuff like that floating around out there.
Anywhere.
Respectfully so. And it just, what hurts me is that, sure, that was a video on his phone that shouldn't have been there. It shouldn't have been there in the first place. But what I'm trying to say is that the fact that somebody would have absolute confidence in hacking this young man's phone just to ruin this man's future.
Right.
It's, in a way, he kind of ruined his own future by doing something like that.
His future isn't ruined. He's still in the NFL.
Exactly.
He's still a top 15 pick. He's still going to make millions. And just because of the way the rookie weight scale is, it's not going to be that difference. If he goes and does what he's supposed to, that next contract's going to be a beast anyway. And nobody will talk about it. And
really, who came out on top at the end of the day? It was Larry Tunsil.
Yeah, he did.
Because he was going to go to the San Diego Chargers, who were been at the bottom part of the AFC West for many years.
Bless his heart.
Now he's going to the Miami Dolphins. He's going down to South Beach. He's going to play in some great weather, playing for an up-and-coming football team.
Mm-hmm.
I think Larry Tunsil got the better end of the deal.
Definitely.
But most overrated player drafted, who do you guys got?
I'm sticking with Ohio State and going with Braxton Miller.
You think he was most overrated?
I do. Because just watching him at Ohio State, I think people hyped him up too much. And then when he got hurt, we didn't need him. We did fine without him.
Cardale.
And he was kind of hurt by that. I think people didn't realize that we were fine without him. And I just think I personally think he's the most overrated. I'm glad I think he'll do good at the Texans. I think he went to a good team, but I just didn't care for him that much.
Kind of bold. A 2-time Big Ten Player of the Year?
That's bold cotton.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Wow. I'm going to go with the number 2 pick in Carson Wentz. Overrated. Now, you don't give up that much of your future draft for a guy that's playing one double-A ball where he was at and hoping he's going to be the future. Because now, even if he is, what help are you going to be able to give him moving forward?
They don't have much help.
You don't have any future draft picks now to build around him. You can't go get him the wide receivers he's going to need or the offensive lineman to protect him. You can't get the running back to help lighten the load. You've spent so much hoping that he's going to be the next Joe Montana, and you have no proof that that's what he's going to be.
He's going to be the next Joe Montana.
There you go.
No, I got to stick with you, Fernando. I knew that pick from the get-go once Philly traded up for Carson Wentz. After signing Sam Bradford to that 2-year mega deal that they got, I was so baffled. You know what? This is the most typical Philadelphia Eagles move. The front office, once again, making poor decisions and bringing in these players that, they might have a good future, but why are you going to bank on a guy who plays for North Dakota State?
And everybody wanted to blame all these bad moves on Chip Kelly last year. Well, apparently it wasn't all Chip Kelly because, and again, it's one of those things, you gave up all that in the draft to take a quarterback that might not start because you still have Sam Bradford there.
Yeah.
So why did you give all of that up? Why not take a quarterback later in the draft and groom him like you're apparently going to do anyway? It's just too much, giving up too much for something that's not a proven commodity.
Maybe a guy like Carter Cook,
maybe,
who was taken in the 4th round by
Oakland Raiders. Yeah, there are a lot of guys out there. I mean, Cardale Jones, you just mentioned him. You could have easily got him in the 4th, 5th round. That's a guy that has the skills to be an NFL football player. If you're going to let him groom anyway, why waste not only this 1st round pick, but the picks in the future?
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to go ahead and talk about Pac-12 football as well as Pac-12 basketball, a quick recap, as well as preview into next season, and then we'll also talk who took the biggest L this year, and then one last send-off for our general manager, Zachary Heineck. Stick around. More On the Ball coming up next right here on UATV. Welcome back to On the Ball, everybody. Here with Danielle Forks, Fernando Galvan. I am Justin Spears. Now, we talked some NFL.
Yep.
Now, year the Pac-12. It was interesting for football and basketball. Just your overall thoughts on the football season. Fernando, I know you're a football guy, so we'll start with you.
I mean, the Pac-12 and football, I think it kind of played out the way everybody kind of thought it was. If Vernon Adams is healthy, Oregon was a problem, but he got hurt, so you saw them take that step back. Everybody was hoping they wouldn't. USC continues to be what they are, kind of up and down. Finally looks like they've got their head coach now, so maybe some consistency there moving forward. Stanford is still doing what Stanford does, running the ball, beating you up front, and really, outside of that, just Arizona being the biggest disappointment in the Pac-12 after the year you had, a lot of returning talent, to not be able to live up to any of the hype at all. It's just got to be disappointing, especially when you had guys going to the draft and get drafted that late. It just doesn't do a lot of good for the Arizona program.
What out of the guys who did go undrafted, I know there was a handful: Caleb Jones, Lenny Maava, Reggie Gilbert, Jared Baker went to the Arizona Cardinals. Which one do you think is the most underrated of the group?
David Richards. I think David Richards is the most underrated because this is a guy that has the physical tools. He's big, he's strong, he's got good hands. But because of being behind flashier guys like Caleb Jones and everybody else in the system, and even the way the system went last year, going to the slot receivers, the smaller, the quicker guys, didn't get quite showcased the way he should have. I think he's going to be just fine in the NFL out there.
I have Jared Baker being my most underrated. I think you have to look, he did spend 4 years here. He spent his 4 solid years. He didn't dip out after 1, didn't after 2. He stayed here for the 4 years and grew to his full potential. And I think that he's going to do good at Arizona, at the Cardinals, especially because they got, the quarterback from Alabama. And so I think that, and I think they'll go well together. And I think he's the most underrated because I think he had 13 touchdowns here. And I think a lot of people are more focused on Caleb and
trying to get Nick Wilson back from
Nick Wilson. I was like,
who's
who's the other guy I'm thinking? I couldn't think of his name.
Over the last couple of years, Nick Wilson was that guy. But
that's who Nick Wilson. That's why I couldn't spell out his name. That's what I think people were focusing on more. So that's why I think Jared Baker is underrated.
So we're just to stay on the topic here. Scooby Wright or Will Parks, were they selected right where they were at, or was it kind of all politics?
I think they were right where they were at. And again, me and you have talked about it several times, and you'd hate to say it because Scooby's such a great guy, such a hard worker, and you see the potential there. But the fact of the matter is he's not that tall, he's not that fast. And he did have that great statistical year when he won the awards, but he had that 1 year. And if you're a GM and you're going to take a draft pick, do you take that chance on a guy that had 1 good year? Or do you look at another guy and say maybe the statistics were more consistent there over 3 or 4 years, same kind of measurables, trust on that guy? I think that's what happened with them. And Will Parks just went to a great place in Denver. They've got such a loaded defensive backfield. He'll get time to learn and get better and be a monster once he finally hits the field.
I do agree with you that Scooby is not one of the better ones, but I don't think that there's 249 people in the, draft that had more potential than him. I was kind of surprised that he went as late as he did, but I was not surprised that Will went before him because I think Will is a great player. I think he had a great pro day workout first off, and then he just has good character all around. I feel like he has a good hard work ethic, and I think that, like you said, he's going to do awesome in the Denver program, especially since they just, with the Super Bowl.
You said 249 people before Scooby didn't have the potential. That's the thing. Biggest word you just said there, potential.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Kwame Brown had potential.
Yes, he did.
Anthony Bennett had potential. Sam Bradford had potential.
Yeah. Very true.
And look what happened. So, yeah, he does have great potential, but when you see potential, that's when you have to take it deep in the back end of the draft. That's why I think Scooby fell right where he should have been. He ran a 4.9 40. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's 6 foot exactly.
Yeah.
He's on top of that, he's actually underweight.
Yeah.
For a linebacker, he weighs 235 pounds. You see most of these NFL linebackers, they're probably right about 255, 260.
They're around 6'2 to 6'4, 250, 55, running a 4'6", 4'7". Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, so, his run did screw him
So
over.
Obviously he needs to be more polished, more rounded. I can't see him doing that in Cleveland because in a Cleveland defense, he's going to be actually a guy who gets a lot of playing time,
Right.
I feel like.
Yep.
And
The only thing that's going to help him out, though, is the defensive line they have in front of him. They've got a couple of big guys out there that are going to eat up blockers that might allow him to do what he does best and just go instinctively and make plays, kind of like Ray Lewis did behind Sam Adams and Tony Siragusa. Maybe his defensive line isn't that good, but when you have size like that up front, it might help him out a little bit. I think he almost became a victim of the fact that a lot of GMs and coaches wanted him, but thought he would go undrafted, and figured maybe we can just nab him as an undrafted free agent, not have to waste a pick. You read about it the other day. Bruce Arians was begging for him to come to Arizona as an undrafted free agent. I think a lot of coaches were hoping that would happen, and Cleveland took the flyer.
I'm excited to see him at Cleveland.
of course,
It should be.
Ohio.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think we are in a slow but surely process of rebuilding our team once again. My brother's fiance's family has season tickets to the Browns. They go every year, and so we've slowly watched everything happen. And, you know, we got rid of Manziel, which I think is a great thing for us.
Right.
And we have Hayden back. He was injured, so we have him back. And so I think that Scooby can hopefully find a home there. I'm
Hugh
excited
Jackson's
to see
gonna
it.
get that program headed in the right direction. The guy's a great coach.
Also.
I was upset to see him leave Oakland, so Cleveland's on the way. 2-3 years, there'll be a problem.
Yeah.
Now, just predictions for Pac-12 football next year. Who's crowned champions?
I'm going to go Stanford.
I was just going to say, I think Stanford's the only one with the potential.
Stanford, again, you got Shaw out there. He's really, outside of Oregon, the most consistent head coach in the Pac-12. Continues to recruit high-level guys that are not just physically capable but very intelligent. That offensive line is one of the best in the country. In the Pac-12, a lot of teams aren't built to beat them, and that's why I think they end up number one again.
You know, I think is actually going to go ahead and give Stanford some fits of the Pac-12 North, and a lot of people think I'm probably be crazy. Washington State.
No.
Yeah, I do think Washington State, because they have Luke Falk coming back.
They do.
They have Mike Leach coming back, and Luke Falk gave a lot of teams headaches because he's got a cannon. He threw for 514 yards against Arizona. He's
A lot of people that against Arizona.
yeah, this is true. This is true. This is true. But I with everybody coming back into that system, they got outside of they did lose offensive lineman Joe Dahl, who went in the second round, I believe it was. So they will have to fill that gap there. But I see Washington State. I agree with you guys. Stanford's going to be crowned champions, but don't be surprised if Washington State gives Stanford a little bit of a late scare. So now transitioning over to basketball, Arizona didn't quite have the year that most expected.
Right.
Oregon was crowned champions. Dylan Brooks, Chris Boucher, Casey Benson, Tyler Dorsey, those guys in the mix handled their business this year as the Pac-12 outright champions. They were the regular season champions. They were the tournament champions. Now
We just needed a free throw, though.
just one free throw
We needed a free throw.
yeah, I get it. But so now Arizona has a deep recruiting class that they got with Kobe Simmons.
I'm so excited.
Terrence Ferguson, Brawley Alkins, Laurie Markkinen. Oregon, on the other hand, all their players are leaving, so now it's all the roads lead to Tucson.
I
This is
got
reminiscent of 2-3 years ago, again, where you have the loaded class with a lot of talent, and bringing back Alonzo Trier has got to be the biggest thing and the best thing Sean Miller heard all season. Knowing that you're getting that guy back with the incoming talent, Arizona's going to be a problem, and you're going to start to hear a lot of people screaming Final Four again, just like they did 2 years ago.
That's every year for Arizona fans.
But I'm talking about the experts, Andy Katz, guys like that. I still have the Sports Illustrated 2 years ago where the game was going to be Kentucky-Arizona for that national championship game. I think because of the level of talent, because of the change across the nation, you're going to see a lot of those predictions go the same way. Arizona's going to be slotted to get to the Final Four or possibly that championship game.
I'm so excited to see what Arizona can do this year because not only do you have Alonzo Trier back, but I don't think we saw very much of Ray last year because he was hurt. You didn't see much of Justin Simon. He was in and out. And you didn't see much of Chance. He came in every once in a while, but I think that this offseason is going to be a chance for all of them to grow. And then you combine them with all those incoming recruits that are just stellar already, plus Alonzo. And I think that we're going to surprise a lot of people because after this season, I think a lot of people are kind of just like, Arizona, what are you doing? And now, I think that all those the combinations of all the people together are going to be a good season for us.
And I think that's something people don't understand, just how gifted and talented Ray Smith is. People don't understand what a loss that was for this team. Him blowing out his knee again was a terrible loss for the Arizona Wildcat basketball team. Getting him back, like you said, is going to be huge for them. And then because he came on later on the year, Chance Comanche, he did get a lot more minutes towards the end, specifically in the Pac-12 tournament, and was productive in those minutes. So getting him back, if he can get a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, gonna be a problem all across the Pac-12. Nobody's want to see the Wildcats.
Okay, awesome, good segment, guys. As I lose my microphone, I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up right here.
That's what I mean. And I ain't gonna tell you no more.
I ain't gonna tell you no more. Birdman took a major loss.
Is that the big him and Meek Mill
in the breakfast?
Should put my sunglasses on for this segment.
I ain't gonna talk about it no more. So speaking of L's, there was a lot of L's handed out this year.
A lot.
There were.
And we're gonna start with your L's, Danielle.
Okay. Well, my first L is easy enough, D'Angelo Russell. I don't think anybody took a big L as him. I mean, he was a rookie coming into the league as is, and he just got the worst of it. He just got the worst of it.
Who's that guy?
That's exactly who I'm taking first.
He cheated.
Second, I'm taking Tyga because I mean, first off, you get all that crap for dating how young Kylie is, and then you go and get Black China marrying into your family. You know,
Tyga's technically the uncle to his own son.
Exactly.
See, Black China
right there,
gamed that one. She said, "Oh, really? You think it's gonna be fun? How's it feel to be my sister-in-law now?"
That is the biggest L right there. You haven't been the uncle to your own son. Like, I don't think he probably could have ever expected that happening. And then my last one, of course, is Meek Mill. I mean, I don't even have to explain that one.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's self-sufficient. Meek Mill's got to be on there because how do you start the problem and then just lose in the first inning? The gun went off and you never left the blocks. You just stood there waiting and watching everybody else run ahead of you.
That little track thing with him and Cat Williams where he passes up the
baton. You know, so Meek Mill has got to be there. You know, my other one is actually is Scooby, man, because again, I think this was a guy that was all the Heisman talk at the beginning of the year. Returning the best defensive player in the country, first round draft pick, and you go on the 7th to the Browns. That's a huge drop off.
Third to last pick.
True.
Yeah, third to last pick. So that's just a huge L. And for me, just because it happened recently, Jordan Spieth, a 5-stroke lead in the Masters, and just to crumble like that when you're supposed to be the next Tiger Woods.
That's a good one. I didn't even think about that.
That's not what you want to see out of the young up-and-coming superstar there. So just crushing loss there for him. Those are my 3.
My top 3 picks, D'Angelo Russell.
You have to.
He's a rookie point guard. Yeah. He's trying to, in order to get along, you have to go along.
Yes.
Yeah.
Players talk about cheating on their wives all the time. But the fact is that you actually recorded your own teammate. I get it. Nick Young's an idiot. He's a moron for cheating on his wife in the first place. But the fact is you record him and say, hey, thanks for telling my video, and then ha ha ha. And then eventually post it as a joke. Or he didn't even mean to post it. He said his phone was hacked.
Yeah.
Your phone did not get hacked, bruh. You just take the
Bruh.
L. Just take the L. Yeah, bruh. Now, my second L is the greatest basketball player to ever touch the court.
I already know what you mean.
And that is Michael Jordan and the Michael Jordan crying memes. There are so many of them. Look at the national championship game against Villanova. And then look at the Super Bowl after the Carolina Panthers lost. It goes with
everything.
It goes with everything.
Yeah, there's not a situation you can't plug that into and make it work for you. It's
it
funny
pops
no matter
up
what.
everywhere.
Yeah. They even had one after the Oklahoma City Spurs game when the Spurs lost, where they put the Michael Jordan crying face on Manu Ginobili's bald spot. I was laughing so hard. And then my last L of this year has to go to the Miss Universe host himself, Steve Harvey. I get it. I get it. How do you miss that? You're reading a card.
Right.
It's a simple card.
It's not rocket surgery.
Exactly.
Rocket surgery.
There she goes. You got it.
It's funny because that actually happened in my high school at my prom. Whoever the lady was, the teacher, she was looking at one girl when she went to go say the name and said the name that the girl she was looking at and announced the wrong prom queen. And then she's like, "Oh wait, no, I'm so sorry. It's actually this person." And it was like I cannot imagine.
No.
But like you said, he just had to read off the card. He's been reading off cards on Family Feud for years.
Exactly.
What's going on with our education system?
But Steve Harvey's still making his millions. He's still doing his thing.
He is.
Trying to become the next Bill Cosby, make everybody forget about it because he has that show with
kids.
the toddler spotlight or whatever. I think it's great what Steve Harvey's doing. Mm-hmm. He's progressing as a host.
Yes.
But he still took one of the biggest L's. L's
did.
of all time. So we're going to go ahead and take another quick commercial break, but when we come back, I'm doing a one-on-one interview with Zachary Heineck, our UATV General Manager, and we'll do a final send-off. Stick around, more on the ball right here on UATV. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to On the Ball. We talked about sports. We dove into everything that we needed to cover. Talked about the biggest L's now, but one of the guys who didn't take an L all year long and his entire tenure here at UATV, General Manager Zach Heineck. Zach, thanks for coming on for the final show.
Justin, thanks for having me. This was pretty unexpected. That's why I'm not looking as fly as I usually do. But you
always look fly.
Always gonna make an appearance for my boy out here.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. So you're now leaving UATV because you're graduating off to the Denver Nuggets out in the NBA world.
Mile High City, baby.
That's awesome. Just talk about, what's the future like for Mr. Heineck?
I guess transition-wise, I got involved with UATV. Really knew that I wanted to stay in this entertainment industry. From here, I got a job with Arizona Athletics. I got to see some of the best games in the Pac-12 had to offer, with our upset against Gonzaga, some things like that. We just had a great season. Knew I wanted to stick in that basketball environment. Made it out to Denver. So we're going to be out there, hopefully just getting to see an NBA Finals championship, bringing it back to the Nuggets, baby.
Manuel Moutier and company is going to bring it back to the Mile High City. Zach, I just got to say one thing. From the time I started at UATV, my very first show was when you were an analyst, along with Joey Petrello, for Dorm Room Sports Chat. And this is the most iconic Zachary Heineck moment that I can think of, was when we had our 30 seconds of FaceTime. I talked about the Los Angeles Lakers potentially getting John Calipari, Kevin Ollie, and Zachary Heineck just so quick to throw up the U and
baby.
Talk about the Miami Hurricanes and how awesome they are as a football program. I believed it was because when the 30 for 30, the U Part 2 came out.
It was U Part 2.
And then that's when you just had to show the love for the Miami Hurricanes. And from that moment on, I knew. I was like, I think me and this guy get along just fine.
It's real. You can't deny that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then plus, you became the UATV general manager following Mary Rinker. And, the station was in shambles, like you said the other night. And to see you and your passion and to be able to encourage everybody that, we may not have the best equipment. We may not produce the best product, but we're going to groom you and we're going to train you into becoming the best that you can be. And to see you engage with every single person, and you had a personal relationship with every single guy here and female here, it was great. And to see you progress as a leader, and to see you, pick us up when we're down, especially me. I wish I could do a whole lot more here at UATV than I'm doing right now. But to see your confidence and for you to always be there supporting me, it means the world to me.
I appreciate that.
And I can't wait to see your career flourish.
You too, baby. I'm gonna miss these Wednesday shows, these Friday shows. It's pretty much where I get all my sports updates too. So, that's the best part of it. Get to see everyone grow, getting to see everyone develop, and just really being a family out here. And I think that's one thing we're really trying to push forward, going to the next level. I think I'm gonna try to bring that same spirit and attitude to the Nuggets. So
exactly,
bring that family back.
And if you bring that family back, you can bring a championship back.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's right.
So, that's going to do it for all of us. We got to have a big family send-off. Danielle, Fernando, get in the shot right here. We're going to get a 3-shot here, and we're going to finally do a final send-off as we should. And, it was a blessing all year long to have these guys in the company, and our producer back there, Joe Lipson, was a big He was a big part of the show.
Huge.
Every single time we filmed the show.
Switchboard's going like perfect.
Exactly.
Fire on the switcher.
Fire.
He is the guy behind the scenes that make everything work, and without him, I don't know what On the Ball would be like. So, for the final time here at UATV, I'm Justin Spears, joined alongside here Fernando Galvan, Danielle Forks, and the new Denver Nuggets employee, Zach Heineck, signing off, saying thank you for tuning in right here on UATV.
Woo!